Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me for my pitch presentation of Web Slinger. In Web Slinger, the player will be in control of a genetically altered spider and must use its enhanced spider-like abilities to prevent the destruction of its web and avoid being devoured by other insects. The player must think fast and smartly manage their resources if they want to survive the continuous onslaught of enemies. Each level will have 5 waves of insects that slowly make their way onto the web, destroying sections along the way towards the player, while bugs such as flies, beetles, and moths will automatically get stuck and only cause small damage to the web in that location. Others like caterpillars, bees, and dragonflies will have the ability to attack back with projectiles of their own, so the player must maneuver quickly to avoid taking damage. The player can use their web sling attack to trap enemies and prevent further damage to their web, while also allowing them the opportunity to repair damaged sections. At the end of the 5th wave, the player will have to fend off an enemy spider from taking control of the web. Each enemy spider will have its own unique attacks that the player will have to deal with, such as web bombs and web whips. Defeating these spiders will grant the player access to the next level. Using abilities such as repair and web sling use up webbing resources, so the player must manage their resources wisely to avoid running out of options. In order to replenish this webbing, the player must consume enemies, and in order to consume an enemy, the player must first shoot their web slinger to wrap them up. Then they must move to that location to eat them. Consuming each enemy will grant a certain amount of webbing depending on the type of insect they are. Specific enemies will grant the spider a unique temporary ability boost such as shielding, speed, and web reinforcement. The player will start off with 3 lives at the beginning of the game. Attacking and consuming enemies and repairing damaged section quickly will also give the player points. If the player reaches a certain amount of points, they will be granted an extra life. This will motivate the player to move fast if they want to get the most points and survive longer. If the player gets hit, they will lose a life, and if they lose all 3 lives, it's game over and they will have to start from the very beginning. As the player progresses to the next levels, they will spawn on different style webs that will require unique strategies to successfully complete. Rain, wind, and other elemental effects will also dynamically change the playstyles of each level, presenting harder situations the further the player gets. Webslinger somewhat resembles the style of gameplay that Asteroids Millennium or No Reload Heroes has, but with more depth and variations in the levels that will keep things fresh and allow for much more strategic play. Shooting and movement is not quite as fast as those games, but will still have the fast-paced feel because of all the quick split-second decisions that you will have to make to survive. I feel that making a game like this doesn't involve too many risks, but there will always be that risk of getting game balancing right, so that it isn't too hard for casual gamers but still presents enough challenge for hardcore gamers. It is also really important to get all of the mechanics right so the game feels great. Some of the mechanical elements in WebSlinger will require a little bit of programming experience to accomplish as well. The game art and level design is also another challenge to take into consideration. I think most importantly, time and dedication will be all we need to get this game to where it needs to be so that it's an enjoyable and unique experience for people of all ages.